Honestly, if you guys saw the state of my hair right now, the only thing that's keeping it together is bobby pins, and at any moment I can just feel my bun just releasing from its hold. I cannot believe that I'm already filming this video. Like, what the hell? Why does time seem to move so fast? You know when you're a kid and you think time is so slow? And you're like, oh my god, I just want it to be Christmas already. Bitch, no. I don't even want to be near Christmas. You know, Christmas time means the end of a year, and I'm not here for it. I'm not here for getting old. I'm not here for aging. Are you joking me? I am honestly baffled that I'm even filming this video. It feels like yesterday I filmed my best of 2020 romances. If you haven't seen that, I'll post a little link up here. But yeah, here we are. It's November. It is a little early. It's November 14th. And I started filming these like yearly wrap-ups the same time last year, so I thought I would do it again this year because that's just how I roll. I like having like the end of the year stress-free, like no pressure to film content, and then it gives me time to like start reading for the new year. I'm going to split it into two videos, part 1 and part 2. We're going to do part 1 today, honey, and then we'll do part 2 in the next couple of weeks, and in between part 1 part 2 I will do my favorite series that I read this year. Going through this list was just so weird. I went through my Goodreads account and looked at all the books that I've read this year, and then I looked at my phone notes because when I come across a book that's like a 5-star, 4-star read that I'm obsessed with, I write it down in my notes. And then I went to my bookshelf and I picked them all out, and it was just like a weird experience. And like each book, I remembered how I felt when I read it. I could remember where I was sitting, what I was doing, and yeah. So I'm excited to go through my favorites of the year. 2021's nearly over, thank fuck for that, you know what I mean? Like, what a fucking year. I don't know about you guys, but this year's been shit ass. I was in lockdown for majority of this year and last year. I've had enough. If 2022 doesn't bring the goods, bitch, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so done with this bullshit. I know 2020 for a lot of you guys was a horrible year. It was actually quite a good year for me and my career, like YouTube. My channel took off. But this year was me just hitting low, baby. I had some really low moments. And going into the new year, I'm now seeing a therapist. What the fuck, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to change my life and evolve as a human because life has just been a little bit tricky. Thank God for romance though, because if we didn't have these fucking books, baby, where would we be? I don't know. I don't know. I am recommending books that I read this year. Some of these books have not been released this year, but I read them this year, and that's why they are the best of 2021 for me. So some of you may have read these years ago. Some of you may have not even read them. So without further ado, hun, let's get into this video because we got some books to talk about. The first book I want to talk about is this bad boy. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, I read this, I believe it was the week of New Year's Eve that I read this, and I finished it on like the 1st of January this year. And this book blew up this year. Book Talk really fucking shot through the roof this year. And a lot of old books or older books that weren't so new copped a lot of hype. I know that Book Talk made this book hit the stores in Australia in Kmart, which is so fucking rare. We don't get these books in bookstores, let alone in like a store like Kmart. If it wasn't for Book Talk, this wouldn't have hit the shores in Australia the way it did. And now, yeah, as I said, it's in Kmart. I'm pretty sure it's in Big W and stuff. But yes, I read it before TikTok found it. That's my favorite thing right now, finding a book that TikTok doesn't know about, because I feel like TikTok or Book Talk, this is a personal opinion and you may disagree, but I feel like it's ruining the community. That's just my take on it. It's so oversaturated. Like, it's so oversaturated that it kind of becomes like tiresome to read, because like there's all these books just like in your face all the time and you're like, oh, it's not the same anymore. That's what I'm feeling. Don't know about you guys, but I just feel like TikTok's kind of ruined reading romance. But anyway, bitch, this is such a banger. I believe every fucking woman on earth needs to read this book. I feel like Colleen Hoover knows exactly how to talk about real serious topics with a positive ending and bring like awareness to certain things that women go through and have to deal with in their life. So this book follows a woman and her first love and her current love, and it's in dual timelines. So you go in between the past and the present, and the past tells the story of her first love and the present tells the story of her current love now. I don't want to give anything away, but there is just a lot in here. It talks about some serious fucking topics. It breaks your heart. It makes you feel things. It's just a brilliant read that makes you feel, it makes you think. It makes you feel compassionate, feel empathy for the other characters, and I love this book. I really do. I believe it's a little bit overhyped, but it is definitely a brilliant read and one of my favorites of this year. So first one is this, Colleen Hoover. It ends with us. So we've got another Colleen Hoover here, and this is All Your Perfects. I read this just before It Ends With Us, or maybe it was just after. It was around about the same time. This is my favorite book from Colleen, besides Verity. Which is also another favorite of this year. This year I really read a lot of Colleen, but All Your Perfects is my favorite. I love tropes about marriages that are in trouble, I guess. And this one made me blabber like a fucking baby. So it's about this couple who have been married and madly in love for all these years, and they hit a roadblock in their relationship when they begin struggling with infertility. This is such a serious topic. Like, infertility is so fucking common. It's so funny because as a woman, you grow up and you think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get married and have babies. That's just what's up. Like, we just pop them out. Like, it just happens. And then when you get to my age and you start seeing people falling pregnant and you start talking to other women and you see couples around you struggling with infertility, you're like, oh my God, this is such a real thing, and it's not as rare as what you assume when you're younger. You just think every woman and every man is just going to be able to procreate with no issues, and it's not like that at all. Yeah, infertility, miscarriages and all of that, it's very, very, very common. Like, you'd be fucking shocked how many women actually have miscarriages before they have their first baby. It's madness. And yeah, this book shows you what it can do to a relationship, and it's just like, oh, I felt for her so much. I felt for him so much, and it just really just got me in my feels, and just the smell of the fucking pages just brings back so much nostalgia, honestly, from when I read this. Do you ever just sniff your book? It's funny. Certain books don't have like old school paper. Do you know what I mean? I bought this from a bookstore. I have no idea how long this had been on the shelf for, but it smells not new, like not freshly printed. And the pages are like that dark grey, not like stark white. Anyway, yes. I'm so strange, fuck. Colleen Hoover, All Your Perfects. One of my favorites. I'm doing the emotional ones. I feel like I had a bit of an emotional year. Well, I did have an emotional year, and my reading, like my favorites of the year, shows you that. So next up we have A Love Letter to Whiskey. Bitch, what the fuck? This book ruined me. It ruined me. I ended up staying up till like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was on Instagram. And I got on Instagram at 5 a.m. and I was like, I haven't slept yet, but I finished the book and I'm fucked right now. And all of you were like, go to bed, bitch. Like, you need to go to bed. It's such a good romance. It's one of those angsty, push and pull, slow burns with zest. You know what I mean? Like, it's a slow burn, but like they don't kiss at the end of the book. They fuck throughout the book, but the slow burn is them being together. It's one of those romances where everything that can go wrong goes wrong, and they just can't be together. It starts off with this girl running into this guy in high school on the track, on the fucking, I don't know, what do you call it? I'm not American. What is it? They're like running on the track? I don't know. She runs into him, and we don't have them here. Well, I didn't have that at my school. We just had a football oval and that was it. And football's like different to America. Anyway, fucking, here we go. Here comes the rants. She runs into this guy at school, and instantly she's like, you are gorgeous. I'm in love with you. But before she can like approach him, her best friend steps in and he ends up falling for her best friend. it goes through their like whole life from their young teens to like their early 30s. And I was in tears. The last page of this book fucked me up. I was like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Candy Steiner? Are you kidding? Stop it. Ruin me. But this was a 5-star because I read it in one sitting and I sat up till 5 a.m. in the morning to read it. Stop. Another emotional one. I love this book so much. I just love this book so much. It broke my fucking heart in the best way possible. And I feel like Jade West is an author that many people sleep on. Every time I read one of her books, I'm like, what a banger. Like, I absolutely love her books. Sometimes they can be like really smutty and dirty and just like, oh, what you want. And then sometimes she can write things like this that just shake you to your core. And you're like, what the fuck? Didn't know that you had it in your hand. So this is Hello Stranger by Jade West. It's about this girl who is a nurse. Or is she studying to be a nurse? One or the other. And she takes the train to work every day and she meets this stranger and they begin bonding over the books that they read because he notices that she reads a lot and he loves reading as well. So every day they kind of like hop on the train and talk to one another about what they're reading. Like instantly orgasm material. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? A man that reads? Fucking stop it. My boyfriend reads, but he's not like, he doesn't read all the time, but I've been buying him books. I'm like, sit in bed with me and read, will you? Come on, hun. What a spicy time. I did not think that this was going to be as emotional as it was. So thanks, Jade, for fucking me up. And also, oh, just the formatting is stunning. So this is Between Us by Cheyenne Sierra. Cheyenne is actually a indie author, which I love supporting the indie authors. This is a taboo book. It's about a woman who's married who falls for her son's best friend. I believe she's like in her 30s. I believe he's like 17. And it's just one of those books where there's just drama. There's just drama and sex and just tabooness and just you can't pull your eyes away. Like you can't stop fucking reading. I just enjoyed it so much. And for an indie author, I believe this may have been one of her first releases and also my first book that I've read from her. I just loved it. I loved every minute of it, and it was also one of the first books I had read with this trope because I don't usually read older woman, younger man. I knew as soon as I read this that this would go down as one of my favorite books I've read this year. And I've said it quite a few times throughout the year in videos where I was talking about this book. Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie Ann Cole. If you have not read this, what are you actually doing with your life? That is the question. Like, I don't think we can be friends if you have not read this. This is so good. I know it's a big book, but it does not feel like a big book. I read this within 2 days. I could not fucking stop. I love Carrie Ann. She's one of my favorite authors. I've done a whole author video to do with her because she's just amazing. She writes the best age gap romances. They're not tacky, they're not gross, they don't make you feel icky. You can understand why these people fall in love, and they're just amazing. So Don't Kiss the Bride is about this girl who's in high school. She has a really bad home life, a bad relationship with her parents, and she's kind of going through a bit of a bad time. Her car breaks down one day and this guy who works on this construction site across from her school comes over and helps her and like fixes her car, and they end up bonding and having this really beautiful friendship where like whenever she needs something, he's there. And it's not romantic, it's nothing at all. He just really feels for her and he wants to help her as best he can. Something happens and he steps in and says to her like, hey, let's get married. It won't be romantic at all, but then you can come and live with me. You can get yourself on your feet. Like, you need a proper roof over your head. You can access all my healthcare and stuff because we'll be married. It'll literally just be on paper. You can have your own bedroom at my house. I just want to help you. Like, you need to be helped. So that's what they do. They end up getting married and she moves in. And it's really difficult because she's 18, he's in his 30s. She develops feelings. He does too, but he doesn't want to admit it. Oh, I loved this book so much. It was so fucking good. And the sex, bitch, when they get it going real good. And it's just so good. Honestly, one of my favorite books of the year. Honey, This book, fucking hell, this book, oh, bitch. Nicole. Oh my god, this is literally like my favorite book. I have to say, yeah. My favorite book of the year would have to be Hollow Heathens by Nicole Fiorina. This was released last year, but I didn't read it until the start of the year. So this is the first book of the Tales of Weeping Hollow. This is going to be a standalone series, I believe. I've spoken about this book so much. Nicole actually sent this book to me. It's signed. I am just obsessed with this. You guys know I'm a witchy poo bitch at heart, and this did it for me. So this is like a paranormal fantasy type book. Fallon's nanny tells her bedtime stories about this town called Weeping Hollow, and for most of her life Fallon has just thought Weeping Hollow doesn't exist and it's like a made up place. But then when she's a little bit older, she ends up getting letters delivered to her in the mail from her grandfather who lives in Weeping Hollow. So she decides to go and find this town. And when she does, she uncovers the history of her family, the history of her, and the witchcraft that is in her veins, baby. And she also bumps into Julian, who is a part of the Hollow Heathens, which is a group of men who are cursed. It's kind of like a cursed town with rival covens. If the lighting keeps changing a lot, I'm so sorry, it's the weather. It's literally crazy. It was like storming this morning, and then it was sunny, and now it's storming again, and you'll probably be able to hear the rain. Anyway, Fallon and Julian are incredible in this book, babe. Like, I love magic. It's my favorite thing, and this just had like the most beautiful aesthetic. Think Gilmore Girls cross like Vampire Diaries, and just like the fall aesthetic, like the leaves changing and just pumpkin spice lattes. I don't really know what that's like because I'm Australian, but I got a feeling for it from this book. Honestly, it's incredible. I can't wait for Nicole to release Bone Island, which is the next book in this series. It's a companion novel series. And I'm just like patiently, quietly waiting for it. This is just incredible. One of my favorite books I've read this year. Then we have Gothicana by Runix. This really surprised me. A lot of people had suggested this to me, and I loved every minute of this. Now, this is written in a third person perspective, which isn't my favorite, and that's why I was a little bit hesitant to read this. But this book is so fucking good. It's so good. It's an age gap relationship with a student and a teacher, but the age gap isn't so big that it's like disgusting. It's about this girl who is a witch, and she ends up going to this boarding school type thing that is at this like cursed castle with all these like stories. All this weird stuff happens, and she ends up discovering a lot about the school, about her teacher, and she ends up falling for her teacher as well. And I loved it. There was like this eerie darkness to this book. So many things happen in this book that are open-ended. So it's left up to the reader to decide what they think that means. And I just loved it. It was so good. It was my first book from Runix, so I can't wait to read more of her books. I read this book for spooky season, and I read it all in one sitting. I know straight off the bat that if I sit down and I read a book in one sitting, and it's a banger, and it's like a 5-star read. And this is The Sinner by Emma Scott. It's quite a small read as well, but I really loved this. Like, I loved this book. It got me in my feels. It's not so much a smutty read. It just is magical and angsty, and I loved it. So it's about this girl who ends up walking home in the middle of New York City, and she stumbles across a fallen angel. Yeah, like a full-blown fallen angel in an alleyway with wings and shit, bitch. And she's like, what the fuck? And he's seeked her out for redemption, and there is reasons behind why he picked her, but I don't want to give anything away. As I said, I read this in one sitting. It's just full of angst and like feeling, and there was a couple of plot twists in this book that I did not see coming, and I thought it was really creative, and I just loved every minute of it. That's it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite read of this year was. Before you skip out on this video, don't forget that I now have a membership program where you can join and pay a monthly subscription, and that gives you access to exclusive content, author interviews, and also my book club. We just picked our first book we're going to be reading together, and I'm so excited. I'm hoping to do a live this afternoon. If I can't, I'm going to be doing one sometime this week. So don't forget to do that if you want to join. Links down below. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world to me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!